Vincent-Tennell, I would say, is like an extension of who I am. I've been Vincent-Tennell for years, since I was in high school. We used to joke around because we all had alter egos back then, but I kind of held on to mine and brought it to life. And also, I always said if I wanted a brand, I would want it to be my name. Like, I love my name, but it's also an extension of a slave name, so then it's not really my name. So Vincent-Tennell is completely my name. I don't know where the Vincent came from. The Vincent, I looked it up one day in a dictionary and it meant to conquer. So it's like it was perfect, but before then I just always liked the name, not even knowing what it meant. But Tennell is my middle name, so it's like a mix of like I said, it's an extension of me as well as more of me.
Why did you decide to let me
Because I'm interesting.
What do you expect to gain from this show?
I expect to gain knowledge because I like to say that I do research a lot and I educate myself on a lot of things. And when you do that, when you are a scholar, you can almost get caught up in yourself and get an ego and think no one can teach you anything. So this show is just not for the public, it's also for myself. I hope to gain whatever the public is going to see. I hope to gain something as well. And I think it is needed. I think what the guests can bring, what I can bring to Springfield, it just shouldn't be hidden. You know, knowledge should be shared and passed along. I think that's something that's missing in the American culture. That's why there's a disconnect between the older people and the younger people, because the older people are really not passing down their knowledge. They rather condemn, judge, and say what we shouldn't do, but don't offer any solutions.
How long do you expect the show to run?
I really don't know. I don't want to give a date on it, but I also don't want to run it to the ground either. I believe when you do something and do it well, leave at the top of your game. Don't keep on dragging it out. So, only time will tell.
Okay, what is the objective of the show?
The objective of this show. Next question.
What are your views on religion?
I grew up a Christian, a very strict, stern Christian household. But one day, I just couldn't do it anymore. It's not like I don't believe God is real. I just don't believe the Jesus part. I believe we all are Jesus, and the story of Jesus Christ is our story. No one can save you from you but yourself. The answers and the keys you need to life were within you the whole time. It's kind of like the Cinderella movie when the new Cinderella movie, when Whitney tells Brandy it was in you all the time. That's kind of like my philosophy of life. You don't have to look outside of yourself. Everything you need, you have internally. You just have to unlock that door. But you have to keep.
What are your views on suicide?
I think it's very so much ignored in this culture, and it's almost looked upon as a joke, a running joke. I think mental hygiene is excessively thrown around as something that doesn't exist, but we need to really start paying more attention to it. I mean, if you looked at me, you wouldn't think that I even thought about committing suicide, but I have multiple times. Not anymore, but in my past, most definitely. So I think we need, as a culture, we need to really dig deep and see what's hurting us. Because for me, I was always taught to, you don't say, you keep everything in. Whatever happens in the household stays in the household. I'm sure everybody has heard that saying over the years. And so you're fed and you are forced to learn a way to keep in your emotions instead of telling somebody. And if something is wrong or something doesn't feel right, You're just supposed to smile and think everything is okay. That's why a lot of times when people have committed suicide, you would never know it. And every time something like that happens, it's always like, well, they were such a nice person and they were always happy and I don't understand and everything in life is golden, but you don't really know what that person is going through because we always wear a mask. Everybody likes to wear a mask in this culture and I hate it. That's why a lot of times I'm shunned because I say the truth. Sometimes it's a little bit blunt, sometimes it's not what we want to hear, but it's needed. That's why I've been able to keep my mental hygiene in check for so long because I'm not going to let anyone come between my mental health and my healthy well-being just for the sake of that's not appropriate, that's not PC, you shouldn't say that in front of that person, you don't know what so-and-so is going to say. We should just say what we feel in a respectful manner, but if you can't be respectful, sometimes that's just the way it is.
What is an icon?
An icon, we're all icons. That's what I call my fans and supporters. I call them icons. Like Mariah calls her people the Lambs, and Lady Gaga calls her people something else, I don't know. Well, Rihanna calls her people the Team Navy. I call my people icons because we're all iconic. We're all here for a reason. Everybody, say you have a play. You have the director, you have the wardrobe, you have the singers, the dancers, you have the piano player. Everybody plays a role to bring that production together. So that, in my eyes, is an icon. There's no such thing as one person hogging all the spotlight because there would be no spotlight if someone wasn't in the back holding it up. So that's what I think an icon is. And I want to thank everybody for tuning into the Vincent-Tennell show, and we are going to do iconic things because we are all icons. Good evening, icons. My name is Vincent-Tennell, and you are tuning into the Vincent-Tennell show. Today we have a very, very special guest. Her name is Gina Lathan. She is running for office for the state representative in the 96th district. I want to welcome Gina Lathan to the set. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
It's
Thank you
nice to
so
meet
very
you.
much.
Okay, we have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
Red or silver?
Red or silver?
Yes.
Silver.
Why?
Star. Silver star. I think everyone has an inner star. Sometimes others are brighter or more open than others, but everyone has a star, and it would be my hope that we create a community to allow everyone to shine.
Okay.
So silver.
Okay. So why did you decide to run for office?
You know, this was, I believe, a very natural transition in terms of stepping out and stepping up in terms of calling in my own personal life. I've always been a community service. I've done service work in various areas around social justice, education, health, wellness, community enhancement. And so when the opportunity presented itself, over the last several years, individuals throughout the district have approached me about running. But for me personally, the time was right. And the issues that needed to be addressed have not been addressed in our community, particularly as it relates to employment opportunities, small business development, and education. And so it's a better time for me in life now, and I had the opportunity to step up and do more work for my community, and so here I am.
Absolutely. Being that this is Illinois, we are accustomed to crooks and everyone just not doing what they're supposed to do once they get into office. Why should we trust you?
Well, I have a proven track record. Like I said before, I have a long-standing history of doing work in the community where I received no monetary return for the work, but I did it because it was the right thing to do. And so those who know me and know of my work, and others who will learn to know who I am and the way that I work, and that I have a high regard for hard work and integrity, will know that and come to learn that I am a upstanding individual who will do the right thing.
Okay.
Sometimes you are in a situation where, especially in government, you can do the right thing, or sometimes you may do questionable practices. But it's about who you are and what you stand for. And so I know that I'm that person that will do the right thing.
So, are you a supporter of Obama?
I am. I am. I definitely am a supporter of our president. Our president has taken on many issues that have needed to be addressed for many years. In particular, the Affordable Care Act. I am a public health professional. I've worked in the field of public health for over 20 years. And so with that experience of work in the field of public health, I understand that there is definitely a need to do more work around health prevention and primary health care services being accessible and available to those that under other circumstances may not be able to access those services. What we know is through the Affordable Care Act, that individuals who have not had the opportunity to access services that need them are typically those who are the sickest, the poorest, and unfortunately the quickest to die as a result of untreated and addressed diseases and illnesses. And so where we have had many challenges in regard to the rollout of the Affordable Care Act, there are many opportunities that still are available through the Affordable Care Act, not only in terms of medical services, but also in terms of opportunities to expand healthcare delivery support services throughout our communities.
Okay, so in your humble opinion, since you're running for office, do you think there are any areas in which our president can do better? Or is there anything you disagree with, how he handled something?
Oh, well, as you know, I'm running for state representative, which addresses issues primarily relating to the state of Illinois, that relate to the state of Illinois. And I'll be representing the 96th district, which encompasses Springfield, some of Sangamon County, the Rochester area, some of the Rochester area, a small portion of Christian County, and in Macon County, the northern Decatur, Forsyth area. And so that's quite different than the United States. But in terms of some observations of our president, I'll go back to the rollout of the rollout of the Affordable Care Act. That a lot of that a lot of the implementation rests at agency level. And so we have to have a better understanding of where the glitches occurred and how they occurred. And what that says is that for me, in terms of a candidate running for state representative, that it is always good to have individuals who are around you who have a working knowledge, a past work experience, and a clear understanding of the functions and the roles of agencies that provide and deliver programs and services throughout the country.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you believe all politicians should take a pay cut?
No.
Why not?
Well, that is very broad. All politicians take a pay cut. I think that when we make decisions, we definitely, and from a state representative standpoint, it's always very good to have an understanding of what the impact will be when you begin to make cuts. And so when you say all politicians take a pay cut, that would be from a local municipality to a national level. And I don't think that is necessarily that is necessary, or that we have a clear understanding of what that would mean from the various spectrums.
I mean, right now, politicians across the board, they're just not shown in a good light. That's across the board, in my opinion. So I think if everyone did come to the conclusion that, okay, we're going to take a pay cut just to show we are here for the people, we are here for the community, I think that would make a strong impact and gain the public trust a little bit more.
I think there are a number of ways that we can, as citizens, can have an impact on policy and laws that impact our lives. One primary step in that direction would be to vote, to not only to vote, but to engage the political process and understanding the issues, taking a long and hard look at the voting records of those who represent us, participating in hosting forums and debates so that we can have a better understanding of the positions of those who represent us. And so later on down the road, we're not having conversations around we should just do pay cuts, because even if you cut someone's pay, they are still representing you to some degree. And we need to make sure that those who represent us are held accountable, that they're willing to have conversations with us. A lot of times conversations aren't the easiest, but they always must take place. And I believe they should take place because it educates both sides of the position when the conversations take place. Usually when you have a conversation with someone or a group that may or may not agree with you, you should leave with learning a little bit more. And so where pay cuts across the board may sound like may be a quick way to get a response, it may not have a full impact for the long run.
Okay. Red, green, purple, or silver?
Wow. Green.
Why?
Green is my favorite color for a number of reasons. Green represents nature. Green represents the environment. When I think of green, I think of the park. I think of playing. I think of children. And I think that we as a community need to do a lot more to create space and opportunities for our children to just be that, just be children. Just be fine with being children and being safe and having fun and having that life experience to grow, to learn, and to prepare for the future while they're just being who they are within that time. And a lot of times we don't do that. We don't prioritize those spaces for our children.
Okay, so I'll be real.
Okay, be real.
I'm 23.
Yes, you are.
I don't know exactly what is your occupation that you're running for. I don't know what the state representative is. What do you do? Why should I be concerned? Because I'll be honest, I'm on the fence. I stopped voting last year because I just figure everybody's going to do whatever they want to do. Why are you, what's the definition of your office?
Well, the state representative is responsible for representing their district, the 96th district, which I described, and that individual on behalf of their district will vote on laws within the state legislature. The state representative will also provide, assist with constituent services. And so what does that mean? That means that if you have concerns or issues related to state government, that you should be able to contact your state representative's office, and they will be able to assist in facilitating that your needs are addressed, or at least you have a better understanding of your situation. A lot of laws affect every aspect of your life, from the water you drink, from the price of the gas that's in your car, in terms of how safe the roads are that you're driving on, the funding that goes into the school systems for our children. And so to say that you've stepped away from the process is very disheartening, because you have so much, just based on our conversation, so you have so much in you in terms of ambition and in leadership. And so it's very disheartening, because I'm sure many young people look to you as a leader. And we need you. My campaign is very much engaging and dependent on the engagement of the 18 through 30-year-old population. There is a voice there. There's a voice that oftentimes is disengaged from the process, and I'm really working hard to engage and to hear the concerns of the 18-year-old to 30-year-olds. So I would encourage you to become more a part of the process, and to continue to, even after this interview, to engage me, to engage my opponent, to ask some of those hard questions. I don't have a problem with it. I may not have all the answers, but you do have the right to have raise those questions. And then I also asked you to become more involved in local politics, because those local politics directly impacts your life on a day-to-day basis, and in the lives of your peer group.
Okay, so if someone wanted to run for an office, is it true that they need a whole lot of money to get what they need accomplished?
Well, Money is definitely necessary to participate in a campaign because there are a lot of costs associated. But there's also my campaign does not have millions of dollars. I will say that. But what we do is we have a strong base of volunteers. We have a strong base of volunteers because there are a lot of people in the community throughout the entire district that understand that changes need to be made and that there is definitely a need for someone to be in that position that represents them as well as their needs. A campaign definitely needs to have a strong platform, a platform that is reflective of the needs of the community. And so, how do you determine what your platform is? Well, you have to be willing to have conversations and listen and have a good understanding of the needs of the community. And that is very beneficial when you've been a part of the community, when you've been engaged in the community, and when you've been a part of a solution in terms of some challenges throughout the community. And so I would say that yes, money is very important, and lots of money is always a huge plus, but there are other resources and other ways to engage the community that does not necessarily cost lots of money.
Okay, so far, have you been pleased with the support you've received from the community?
Oh, yes. You know what? I knew that I would get support, but the support has been tremendous. It really is. Every day we're getting more volunteers, more individuals on board, more groups involved and engaged. The diversity within the volunteer base is definitely a huge plus, and I'm so happy to say that it's a real cross section of the community, and that's what it should be. And what I've found is that even though everyone doesn't agree on everything,
Right,
there is a
right.
common agreement that something different needs to happen, and that's where you get that space where in the campaign office sometimes you're having those conversations of, well, we don't agree on this, but this is what we can agree on, and people agree to disagree, but there are those very important pieces that they agree upon, and
Those
then they're
common
working
threads.
through, yes, the common threads, and they're working through some issues, and that's the way it needs to be. I mean, we as a community have to come together and determine what our priorities are. When we look at priorities, and what I consistently hear as I walk throughout the district and knock on doors and talk to groups in various settings, is that job security, job sustainability, and job opportunities are far and few, and they're becoming less and less. And so, how do we bridge that gap between those who have jobs but need more education or training to have a living wage job, and those who just need a job. I
Right,
mean,
right.
we are in a situation where we have got to begin to retrain and build a workforce that is more prepared for the 21st century of adults. We have to begin to be more proactive and progressive around math and science education for our young
Absolutely.
people so that they can be prepared and more competitive for the workforce of the 21st century. We have got to begin to understand how can we increase our tax base within our community so that we can have more local dollars to expand services in our communities while also providing living wage jobs. And one of the vehicles is small business development. And so that's a strong part of my platform, creating and supporting more entrepreneurs and looking at non-traditional opportunities that we have not necessarily maximized on in the past. There's a lot of opportunities, safe neighborhoods. I think we mentioned that a little bit earlier, but understanding that within the 96th district on both the Springfield as well as the Decatur side, those communities have had the most impact for those cities around gun violence. And so a lot of times that's not discussed. But we have to begin to have those real conversations on how do we actually begin to address issues around gun violence. We also have to begin to have more conversations around how we address the issue of the high incarceration numbers within our communities and what that does. when adults are leaving families and households, it impacts the families and households in terms of the economic base, the psychological support of the children and the other adults who are in the household, and and then the tax burden on the state of Illinois. And so we have to begin to be very strategic and mindful of the real life bread and butter issues of families throughout the district. And it's going to take the entire community coming together and working toward developing partnerships as well as supporting legislation that moves our agenda forward.
Okay. I have one more question for you.
Sure.
It's a two-part question.
Okay.
Does Springfield still see race? And if so, does it affect your campaign as an African American woman running?
Does Springfield still see race? The world still sees race.
I mean,
And
I
so-
thought we were in a post-racial society. That's what they keep telling me.
I
So,
think the world still sees race, and I don't think that that is necessarily a real bad thing. It's what you do with it. We should celebrate diversity. We should celebrate diversity, and we should definitely celebrate heritage, tradition, culture. Those are things that should be celebrated. When a person's race is used against them in a negative light, that's when there's a challenge. How has it affected my race? It has affected it, I think, in a positive way, because we have a lot of younger women, younger mothers who are approaching me and engaging me in the process. I was a teenage mother, and so as someone who was a teenage mother who worked in a leadership position within the state of Illinois, who's earned a master's degree, has completed her coursework with her PhD, has ran a successful company since 2007, and has raised 2 children that she's very proud of. I am now able to serve as a model for a lot of young mothers and young women who were in situations very similar to myself. And so where my life is not perfect now, there are a lot of lessons that I learned along the way that I can share with them to make their lives a lot easier. And so where I could kind of hide and be ashamed of some of my being a teenage mother, I am now able to share some of those experiences with young mothers, and I think that's very important.
very, very. Do you have any closing remarks you'd like to add?
Yes, the election is on March 18th, and it's the primary election, and I would appreciate everyone's vote, and I look forward to engaging the various communities throughout the district as a whole, and I definitely look forward to having more opportunities to speak with communities throughout the district on the issues that matter to all of us. So, and most importantly, I ask for everyone's vote.
Okay, I greatly appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
on the show today. I couldn't have asked for a better first guest. That's why
Thank
she's
you.
very, very special to me. I'll never forget this day.
Thank you.
And you promise to come back?
I promise I will definitely be back.
Okay, y'all heard that icon. This is the Vincent-Tennell Show, and you be blessed.